Hello guys, it's me V Clifto bringing you a guide to Ryze. I'm gonna start off with telling you this video is very laggy. So at one point I do AFK to go fix my internet problem. I apologize. This video isn't long enough because the other team does surrender at like 20 minutes exactly when they can possibly surrender, because we end up kicking their butt pretty hard and I get pretty strong. And I kind of recorded this a tad bit late. I didn't really do much in the game. I pretty much pushed Nashus out of the lane, which I'm laning against him, and Nocturne in this game. I hope you enjoy the video, but I'm pretty much going to go straight into the guide and how to play him, because there's a lot of stuff to cover and such a little time. So let's start off by saying what is his abilities. His passive is Arcane Mastery. Every time you use a spell, you reduce the cooldown of all of the rest of your spells by 1 second. So if you have a 5-second spell, let's say, and you use another spell, it'll be now on a 4 second cooldown reduction, or 4 seconds, and you can pretty much, if you spam the other abilities, you can pretty much get your other abilities pretty quick, and that's what makes your Qs on a pretty quick cooldown reduction. So you can pretty much almost spam your Qs after every other spell at full cooldown reduction. You can just go 1 2 1 2, or like Q W Q E Q R Q, and you can and then your W will be back up because you use so many spells. Then you can just pretty much do your whole combo again, which makes him super bursty. You can use a lot of spells pretty quick. Then your Q, what you want to probably max out first, is your Overlord, and it's a strong Q blast it's a strong Q blast, no doubt, but it's a strong point and click ability that allows you to do massive damage. If you're in the vicinity, if they're in the range of the spell, you'll use it, and they cannot escape it. It will follow them all the way across the map. There's nothing that will stop it, nothing that can get in the way of it. So champions can't get in the way of the ability. It is your pretty much your strongest ability, and you probably want to max it out first. Well, you definitely want to max it out first, because none of your other abilities will do as much damage, and you want the cooldown reduction, because passively it does gain a little bit less cooldown reduction. So you at full rank, at rank 5, you do get a pretty good, you get 10% extra cooldown reduction to all your spells, which is very good. You want to get that so you can be spamming your abilities even more quicker. Your next ability is your W, which you probably want to put into a point in second, which is your Rune Prison. It pretty much locks them in place for a few seconds, and the longer or the higher you put it up, the more longer they're in the stun, which allows you to pretty much lock them down and be able to spam your abilities to do all your damage real quick without them getting away out of your low spell. You don't actually have a high damage spell range, so you have to be able to lock them down real quick to get the kills. Next thing is Spell Flux. You throw out a little lightning bolt that like bounces off of enemies. It can bounce up to 5 different enemies, which is very good at wave clear, because in the later stages, once you get way stronger, it does do a lot of damage, and you can clear waves pretty quick. Also, your ultimate will help you clear the waves even faster if you have it. Your ultimate, which you probably want to, you put in a point at 6, 11, and 16, which once you activate it, it doesn't actually do a big spell. It doesn't do a spell like some other most champions have an ultimate that does the most damage. This spell doesn't do the most damage. It does help you out the most, because it gives you some spell vamp, which means every time you use a spell, you gain a percentage of that health back in whatever damage you did, and then it gives you area of effect damage on the spells. That's very good, because you'll see later that I can pretty much, it does so much damage because your Q does a lot of damage, and then if it does a little circle, like a circle of lightning, and everything in that lightning takes half the damage you dealt to it. So you're pretty much doing massive amounts of damage if you use your R and your E combo, and that's what makes wave clear pretty easy. If you have a huge wave, you just use that. It'll kill pretty much all the minions, and if you're really low on health, it's a great thing to do is go find an empty lane. If you want to stay in the game. If there's a lane that has a ton of minions, you can. I've done this plenty of times where I walk over to that lane. You need to clear the wave anyway because it's getting to your tower. Put on your ultimate, then you use your E because it does a bunch of area effect damage, and it will give you a bunch of lifesteal because you're doing so much damage to a lot of minions all at once. I've gotten pretty much full health from it, which is a good spell. Also gives you some movement speed, which allows you to catch your opponents if they start running away. So it gives you a bunch of bonus stats, and which will help you. This game is a bit laggy. Like I said, I apologize. There's my ultimate. It did that all that little shocking, and it was easy to kill that Nocturne. But let's get on to the build. The build, you probably want to start off with a mana crystal because it's pretty much like your damage spell, because all your spells, I forgot to say this, all your spells are scaled off of mana or percentage of mana. It does it does scale off of ability power, but most of your damage is gonna come out of whatever your maximum mana is. So buying a mana crystal first allows you to, it's like pretty much building a Doran's Blade for an 80 carry. You're gaining your attack damage, and then it does give you health bonuses, but mana crystal will let you spam your abilities longer. It gives you some mana, so because you are a very spammy with all the cooldown reduction from your passive and your Q passive, it's just gonna give you, you're gonna be spamming your abilities, and it's what gives you most of the strength. What's gonna kill most people, and if you don't have mana, you can't use your spells, which that's pretty much bad. That's bad news for you. You want to have mana to be able to sustain in the fight long enough. Another thing I may have accidentally said is all your abilities are point and click. You have no skill shots, which makes Ryze actually an easy person to play if you play him in the top lane. The mid lane, he does actually have a bunch of harder gameplays, but he can be strong in the mid lane. Forgot to say that too. He is a very good, strong top laner. I like playing him in the top lane. I've played him a couple times in the mid lane. I do have a lot of problem with him a lot of times in the mid lane unless you play against somebody like an Akali or a Katarina that you can pretty much just melt them. I do get like a triple. Oh no! I have a friend that comes help me clear this up because I was about to die and I didn't really want to die. Ended up lagging. I was hoping I didn't die. Ended up not dying. Good thing. So you want to get that. You want to get the mana crystal to give you damage. And then you want to either get health pots if you're gonna be getting. If you feel like you're gonna get pressured in lane, they're going to be poking you. If you're going to get poked, you definitely want to build you definitely want to get some health pots to allow you to stay in lane a little bit longer. But if you feel like you're going to be pretty much dominating your top laner, don't get health pots because they're not going to be helpful. You're not going to get poked, and you're going to be using up a lot of mana early in the game because your spells are very expensive in the beginning of the game compared to how much mana you start off with. So buy some mana pots instead of health pots because mana pots will allow you to stay in the lane a little bit longer. This is the worst part of the lag. I do end up going in the bush over here. It takes me a long time to get there. I apologize for bringing this laggy thing. Every time I seem to record, and if someone's doing something in my house, they are making me lag. So I need to fix my internet. We need to get better internet. That's really much the big thing. But this is just god awful, and I apologize in bringing this to you. But the video after this, after I fix the internet, I do pretty much play pretty clean up to this point. Maybe a couple times I lag a little bit, but I end up this game pretty strong because Ryze is a late game, just a super late game hyper carry, super strong. Played in the LCS because he is strong. But I'm sorry. I keep freaking rumbling off. I need to get back to the build. On your first time back, you want to build a Tear of the Goddess to build into an Archangel staff later because it gives you so much mana, boosting all your abilities. And because you're a very bursty champion, you want to have the mana to keep on going. That's what the Tear of the Goddess is. And you want to be able to spam your Qs because your Q is on a pretty short cooldown to get your Tear of the Goddess up. You want to have your Tear of the Goddess. You want to keep getting it all the way filled up because then you will have 1,000 mana after that, which will make you very strong. That's once you get that ability, or after you get that, you're pretty much gonna win the game after that because they will have nothing to stop you with because you'll have so much mana, you'll do so much damage real quick, and you want to fill that up, but you do not want to fill it up until after the second item you want to get, which you want to get a Catalyst and build that straight into a Rod of Ages. That's your second core item, because you will be gaining health. It will make you tankier. Since you're in the top lane, you probably are the tank of your team. I will be getting other items that will make you a little bit better, tankier, but the Rod of Ages gives you a ton of health, and the passive has actually saved my life so many times. I don't know how many times I've been ignited, and getting the level up or whatever. I think it's a level up. I don't think it's a kill. Level ups, you will level up, and then you gain bonus ability power, or not ability power. I am sorry. You gain health and mana right then and there, and it saved me so many times. And it makes you tanky, makes you a bit stronger because you gain a lot of mana early. And then the next item you want to build is, you probably want to finish off that. If you're having a pretty good lane, you probably want to finish off the Archangel staff to build into whatever that builds. I forgot that. Well, that one's a weird item. I forgot what it builds into, but it will build into something super strong. And then the next item you want to build is, because you're on the top lane, most top laners, except for something like a Maokai or a Rumble. Maokai is actually probably one of the strongest counters to Ryze. I was just earlier the day of this, I actually had a hard game against a Maokai, because the build for Ryze is meant for AD champions. Because the next item you want to build, I don't know if I build it into this because it's such an easy game and they're not really that strong. But in a normal game, I would build a Frozen Heart, which gives you 100 armor. That pretty much negates like a ton of the damage any AD carry will do. It will pretty much make half, they'll do half the damage they're dealing to you. It gives you 400 mana. It gives you 20% cooldown reduction, which will allow you to spam your abilities even stronger. If you have full level 5 Q, and then you have that item, you will have nothing in your runes and masteries. If you don't have anything in your runes and masteries, you will have 30 cooldown reduction, and then every time you spam a spell, you will lower the cooldown reduction of another spell of all of them by 1 second. I'm able to double kill them, and I end up dying, but I did get the double kill, which is pretty good for me. It helps me snowball later. After the Rod of Ages, you can either, if you want to build more tanky, you could probably build an Iceborn Gauntlet or a Frozen Fist, whatever you want to call it. Like calling it a Frozen Fist, a lot of people get irritated by that. I don't know why. But you can build that. It gives you mana, it gives you ability power, gives you a bit of cooldown reduction, maybe 10% cooldown reduction. So that could be the rest of your cooldown reduction. You'll have 40% cooldown reduction, which is the maximum. It will give you armor, and then it gives you the it'll give you the effect of Sheen, which every time you auto attack afterwards, it will give you bonus damage, and then you slow them, which helps you out, because if they're slowed and you're constantly room prisoning them, and then you're using your auto attacks, you will be pretty much keeping them there, allowing you to burst a ton of people real quick and keeping them in the exact same spot as they are, doing massive damage. That's them 4 items are pretty much your core items, because then after that you can build pretty much 2 different boots. You can build a Sorcerer's Boots to allow you to do penetrate their magic resist, because by that time they will be building a ton of magic resist to stop you, because you will be super strong. If they're not, then they're stupid. But most people, smart players, will build magic resist to stop you, and you need to be able to penetrate through it, because you'll be starting to do less damage than you were expecting, which is very bad. And then, or you can build Merc treads if they are building if they have a lot of cooldown or crowd control, and you want to be able to get out of the crowd control quicker. You can probably build some Merc treads so that their crowd control just doesn't keep you stuck for very long and allow you to burst them even quicker. See, I'm pretty much get to solo both of them. I just do so much massive damage, and it's because they fed me early and allowed me to get super strong. A pro to him is that he is, I don't know if I haven't said this yet. Pro to him is he has great wave clear, because after you get the mana items, because you're getting a ton of mana items, making you super strong. You're allowed to also to spam your abilities, clear waves. Another great way to clear waves and to get a bunch of health back from if you're really low is you can put on your ultimate and then shoot your E. It will bounce through a lot of them, do a bunch of area effect, and it will give you a bunch of the health back. I actually was one time like one shot, like pretty much any auto attack from anybody. The weakest auto attack would have killed me. I ran over to like top lane, which had a ton of minions. Done this plenty of times. And you just spam your E, you'll gain pretty much almost full health back, even without another item like Wit's End. Wit's End is a great item on him too, to make him tanky. If you're playing against very strong spellcasters, normally you will not. You can outburst a spellcaster with Ryze, and with the armor build, you can pretty much stop any armor or any AD champions. And you want to build the tanky armor because most comps have 3 AD people, a jungler, top laner, and a AD carry, compared to the 2 ability power. So you pretty much, and you can normally outburst any ability power, but if you build a Wit's End, you will actually still gain even more lifesteal, and your ultimate will still lifesteal even more, which is another great item. I come over here, I KS Twisted Fate, but he was cool with it. We're all friends in this game. Makes it pretty great. The Kog'Maw AFKs, but we pretty much, all 3 of us use one ability, and they pretty much die. He pretty much just dies, and it's pretty. They're pretty much done with this game. They don't have anything to stop. I one-shot the Zed. Another to finish off the build, you can build a Manamune to give you bonus. Even you can make your burst super strong. I think the highest, if you don't duplicate any items, because there's some items that could give you a little bit if you duplicate them, but if you don't duplicate any items, the most mana I've gotten is like 5,000 mana, and I still was tanky. I was still tanky. 5,000 mana, I was able to one-shot people, and that's another great item on him. But you pretty much want to just be spamming your abilities. After you get full cooldown reduction, you go Q, W, Q, E, Q, R, Q, and your W will be back up because you've been spamming so many spells that it will come back up. That's pretty much how you want to play Ryze. This is pretty much my guide to Ryze and build. There are some other things you can build with him, but I will put that in the description on what to build, other than if there's any unorthodox things you can build. Also, other builds that make him super strong. But